Shalom Aleichem Rabotai. Mishnah Yomi is continuing on the second day of Shabbos. We started Shabbos yesterday on a Thursday, and here it is Friday, Erev Shabbos Chayesora, and we are picking up on the second Mishnah in the first parak of Shabbos. Speaking of Shabbos, the Kiddush tomorrow, Chayesora at Suburban, is in honor of the Mishnah Yomi, so we'll be there. We'll have some l'chaims. I'm not sure the exact program, but we'll show up tomorrow, and Baruch Hashem, we'll find out. We also have there's also a siyum on Seder Zerayim tomorrow, Shabbos, after Mincha at Beit Yaakov, at Rabbi Golfe's shul. They're davening Mincha at 4:14, and they're going to make during Suda Shlishit or Shalosh Sudas, whichever minhag you like, going to make a siyum on Zerayim. And then Motzei Shabbos, there's also a community-wide Mishnah Yomi siyum at Merkaz Torah Tefillah on Baythorn at 8:30 p.m. They're going to have fleishigs. They're going to have a good time. So Baruch Hashem, 3 opportunities over Shabbos, Motzei Shabbos, to recognize your accomplishments for being Messiah Zerayim. So Baruch Hashem, on with the Shabbos. Mishnah Bay says, Lo yeshev adam, do not sit down, man, lifnei asapar, in front of the barber shop, samuch lemincha, right before mincha time, od shiat polel, until you daven first. The reasoning is it might take a long time, or the scissors might get dull, or something might happen, that the shaven haircut takes a lot longer, and he's going to miss the time for mincha. Lo yikanes adam lemerchatz, don't go into the bathhouse right before mincha, because it might take longer. He might feel faint and tired. Lo laborsiki. Borsky is the tannery. There's chemicals involved. There's leather that's soaking. It might take a while to fix up if there's something to do there. Lo lechol, and not to eat a suda. Velo ledin, and not to judge a case. If they started these activities, even though they might get involved in them, you don't have to stop in the middle to daven mincha, as long as you're still going to have time to daven mincha. But lechatchila, we don't start doing something where you might get carried away before mincha until you daven. Now the Mishnah concludes with a related concept, mafsikin likrot kriyat shema. We stop what we're doing, even learning Torah, to recite kriyat shema when it's time for kriyat shema. Ve'ein mafsikin l'tefillah. But you don't stop for davening if you're involved in learning. Now the Mefarshim explain this is not halacha l'maisa unless you're Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. That this halacha is stated for people who are completely involved in Torah 24/7, that even so, they would stop at Zman Kriya Shema in order to say Shema, but were not required to stop learning and get involved in Shmona Esrei. But that's only Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son in the cave. That's a special case. That's not the normal kolol guy, the normal yeshiva bacher. Obviously, they do stop for the entire tefillah. Now, good. Now, we're going to go on to Mishnah Gimel. Mishnah Beis was every day of the week. Mishnah Gimel is specifically on Shabbos, concepts to prevent problems from coming up. Lo yetzei achayat b'machato samuch lechashecha. The tailor cannot go out with his needle close to Shkia. That's on Friday, close to sundown. Shema yishkach v'yetze, because he might forget his needle pinned into his shirt or wherever he keeps it, and he'll go out and have a yitzia, like we spoke about yesterday in the first Mishnah. V'lo halavlar b'komoso, and not the scribe with his pen. He also can't go out in the public street close to Shkia. He might get delayed a few minutes, then he's going out with his pen. Now this is even when his pen or his quill is not in his hand, but maybe it's tucked into his belt or it's behind his ear. But because that's a normal way for the scribe to carry his pen, like it's normal for the tailor to stick his needle in his shirt or wherever he puts it, then that would be carrying deraisa on Shabbos if he gets delayed. So we tell him not to do that to avoid a problem. Similarly, lo yafale et kelav lo yikra leor haner. Similarly, a person should not delouse his garments. So Baruch Hashem, we live in times with Baruch Hashem such a bracha that we have very much improved sanitation and laundry facilities, but it was common. They would have bugs and lice in their garments, and if you're picking them out and you need a little more light, they might tilt the lamp to get the oil to flow to one side of the lamp to the wick to make it brighter, so you can see if that's just a little schmutz or a little dirt, or if that's a bug that you want to pull off the garment. So the problem is not so much the bugs, so that's a problem. Also, the problem is tilting the lamp is ma'avir. It's a malacha of kindling. And the same with reading. If you're reading by an oil lamp, and the Rashi and the Taisvos are a little smaller, so the Bartner also could be a little smaller than the regular stuff here. So you might tilt the lamp on Shabbos to read better, to read the Mefarshim. So that's, again, it's a malacha deraisa. Be'emes amrus. Now the Mishnah explains. Chazon, here the chazon is not necessarily the gabbai, he's like the teacher. He's supervising. Roe hechan the kurin. He can see where the children are reading. So you can imagine they have a Sefer Torah open, or they have a Mishnayos open, and there's a bunch of kids are reading that, preparing their laning for tomorrow, and the teacher can see where they're reading, see what they're up to. Avohulo yikre, but the teacher himself shouldn't read. What's going on is, if the teacher is about to tilt the lamp, the students might not stop him from doing so because they have a respect for the Rebbe, for the teacher, the chazan. But if the children might come to tilt the lamp to see the small letters, to see the mefarshim, then the other children are going to warn them, or the teacher is going to warn them before they tilt the lamp, so they can avoid the aveira. Ki yotzebo, the Mishnah continues, similarly, lo yochel zav imazava. A zav is a male who had an emission, and he's tamei, and the zava is a woman who had an emission, and she's tameya, mipnei hergil avera. Now, these are man and wife we're talking about, and if they're eating together at a dinner table, and you understand there's some wine, it's a nice meal, and everything's great, so it might lead to a problem because they are both tameim, and they're going to come to intimacy when they are forbidden from doing so. So they shouldn't sit down and eat a normal seuda because it might lead to sin. Now, this last statement is actually lema'aseh. We're learning on Monday nights with Rabbi Silber, the Smichas Chaver. We're learning Hilchos Nida, and this is the same concept when a woman is in Nida and they're eating together at the table. The man and just the man and his wife. There's a concept to put a heker, to put something on the table, so it's different. That there's a manish to nahalayla zemikol halilot. So there's a concept to enjoying a Suda of making something a heker, something different on the table, so they remember and they don't come to make mistakes. Shkoyach Rabosai, Shabbat Shalom.